Hey y'all, so I had to come on here and just do like a quick um combo. So I don't know if God ever puts y'all through seasons. Well, obviously he puts you through seasons. So one of like the first seasons I ever had, I feel like that God purposely put me through was back in 2022. God had isolated me, and that was like the first time I experienced like being upset with God, and that was I had broke up with my boyfriend. If you guys are like an OG follower, you guys know I was in that long 5-year relationship. And so 2022, like I was alone, and I used to be like, this isn't right, God. Like we're meant to have people, we're meant to have our partners. And I was so lonely and I was so upset. And, my best friend at the time lived in Austin and I didn't have really any friends. The only people I really hung out with was my ex. And so, when we broke up, it was just me. And I was just working. I was so upset with God. But 2023 was when I was actually happy. I had a lot of peace because I knew how to be alone and I was comfortable being alone. I wasn't codependent. And so whenever I look back at 2022, I think like, oh, that was such a hard year for me. But the payout was so great because I would go to the pool by myself. I would go eat by myself. I would sit on my balcony and just chill and people watch by myself. I now knew to enjoy the presence of my own being. And so for 2025, I kind of went through the same thing. And like I do my vision boards, I always do vision boards. One great thing about my mother, she was a lot of things, but one great thing about my mother was that she would always talk about kind of like manifesting and words being spells and like doing vision boards and believing in whatever it is that you asked for. And so I always still do my vision boards. I always write down what I want to do, what I want to accomplish, because they always come to fruition, thankfully for God. And so for my 2025 vision board, I talked about wanting like clear skin, being confident, not having like any validation, no validation required. Cause I write down what I want. Like I write basically the energy that I want to capture for myself. So like 2024, I wanted to be like the Beyonce. I wanted to be center stage. I want all this attention and I got it. And so anyway, so 2025, I said, I don't want to have any validation. I want to have true confidence. I want to feel like comfortable in my skin. I want to be able to appreciate the energy. I want to be able to be more intuitive. I had all these things that I wanted to do. And that's the thing about being careful about what you ask for. Because, like, for example, if you ask for strength, God will send you situations that break you. So for 2025, I said, oh, I don't want any validation. I want to have real confidence. I want to be real confident in myself. 2025, I did not realize that I never had confidence. I used to be super insecure, like pretty much like my whole life. I used to be very insecure. And once I got out of the relationship with like my 5-year ex, I would get a lot of attention. People would tell me I was beautiful, da da da. So I thought because I was getting like, attention and affirmation and validation, my confidence was really based on other people validating me. But I didn't realize that until God took away validation. So I always thought, I was like, I feel comfortable in my skin. I'm confident. So when 2025 came, I put all that on my vision board. Whenever we would go out, I go out with my friends, I like would get overlooked. Like I barely would get hit on. And it made me feel ugly. It made me feel self-conscious. Oh God, that hurt. I'm like breaking out because my period is supposed to be here. And now I have like a little bit of a cyst, y'all. I was just like, anyways. So, because I have hormonal acne. But anyway, so we would go out, like men wouldn't check me out, or like I would be like overlooked. I'd be the last to get hit on. And it sucked. And I remember like I'm still in therapy. I continued therapy will be something I like will always go to. And I remember talking to my therapist about it. I'd be like, man, like I've never experienced this before. I feel ugly. I feel like I was just super insecure because it was like the first time in my life where I wasn't really getting that validation. And so I always kind of think of it as, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, doesn't make a sound. And it's like, okay, you think you're pretty, but if no one ever tells you you're pretty, do you still think you're pretty? And so everyone had always been telling me I was pretty from like, basically the end, towards the end of the relationship to, 2025. And so then suddenly Everyone stopped telling me I was pretty. Little did I forget that I asked God. I said, I don't want any validation. I want to feel confident in myself. And so by virtue of not getting any validation, not getting hit on, for a majority of the year, not really being seen and being overlooked, I had to learn to validate myself. I had to look in the mirror and say, like, okay, it's fine. Maybe I'm the ugly friend, but I think I'm pretty. I have to look in the mirror and I have to say, I'm beautiful. I look good. I like myself, whether my eye is wandering, whether I have cystic acne, like my edges, I got a little edge loss, you know what I mean? Like, but I love who I am when I look in the mirror, and that's enough, And there would be little moments where God would, because I remember one time I was feeling like extra down. I was like, man, I just feel so ugly. Like I'm the ugly friend, and like this is the worst year of my life. And I was like, you know what? I was like crying about it. I was like, oh, you know what? As long as God thinks I'm beautiful, that is all that matters. And I had literally went to go shopping that day, and I got so much love. And I just thought God was so sweet for that, because I literally was like, well, as long as God thinks I'm beautiful, that's all that matters. And so I'm saying all this to say that, I prayed for like true confidence in myself. And, I went through that season of having to actually build that within myself, validating myself, affirming myself, not looking to other people to make me feel a certain way. Because again, if a lot of times we think that we're super confident, but in reality, our confidence is based on validation. And don't get me wrong, there's a healthy amount of validation that you need. You know what I mean? It is important and affirming, but it can't be how you measure yourself and how you feel about yourself. And so I was just thinking, like, lately I've been posting pictures and stuff and posting my videos, and people are like, oh, I love your happiness. Like, because I'm back on the dating apps, mind you. Back on the dating apps, and the biggest like compliment I keep hearing is like, oh, your smile and your energy and your warmth, and you just have like a warmth about you. And it's like, because people are feeling my light. They're feeling the light that I had to build to work up by loving myself, by having those conversations with God. Damn, it's hot. I'm like, I gotta turn off the air. But yeah, the house, the crib's a little bit bigger, so it'll take a little bit more time. But anyways, I realized like that people will feed off of your light. They'll feed off of the things, and you don't realize it. Cause like, this is a whole nother story for another day, but my ex popped up on, the dating apps, and he sent me a damn rose. And I was like, cause I blocked him. He's been blocked for like a year and a half. And, that exchange that we had, and maybe I'll tell the story later. I don't feel like getting into it with him, about him. But that exchange that we had made me like realize that so much of our connection, our relationship was a transfer of energy. He had to come use me to feel happy, to feel good about himself, to build himself up. You know what I mean? He had to deplete and take my energy and take my happiness so that he can feel better about himself. And people will literally come to use you. They'll use your light. They'll use your happiness. They'll use anything pure because they feel so low. They feel so depleted about themselves. And it just makes me realize how important it is to be protective of your light, to be protective of your energy. Once you go through a chapter, you have to really close it out. You know what I mean? Like, you can't go back. You will get situations that will test you. Because another thing is, another ex popped up today. And I thought, how interesting, and I was talking to like one of my best friends. And she was like, so do you think you're going to get back with him? She's like, I don't think you should. Like, you have your new apartment. You're in this new chapter. And I was like, hell no, I'm not getting back with that man. Like, no. And she's right. Because it's like, yeah, I'm in a new chapter. I have my new apartment. Like, I'm feeling really secure about myself, like loving myself, even with acne and, running makeup and stuff, like loving myself for who I am. Flaws and all, and I feel really good. I feel really happy, and I love myself, and I love the space that I'm in. And so why would I go back and repeat a chapter with someone that I know? It's like masks have fell off, okay, and people are trying to remask themselves. They want to pretend that they're not that person, and they are, and that's their character. And the more you start to look at people as like spirits, like light and darkness, instead of, you know, the things that make them seem so great. Like with my ex, he went to Harvard Law, you know, he makes like $250,000, $300,000. And, you know, he's like 6'3", he's a black man, you know what I mean? You would think all of that and be like, girl, you tripping, da 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 da, like, you should get back with him. But it's like, no, you know, he is deceitful, he's disloyal, he's an opportunist, he's malicious, he's mean. There's so much to him that it's like all that glitters is not gold. And so, you know, I say all that to say that if you are in a, you know, a chapter in your life where you're closing out old cycles, like, don't go back. You know what I mean? Like, these tests will come in to see if you're truly ready for that next level up. And like, for me, it was 2 back-to-back exes. And it was just like, what the fuck? As soon as I get back on Hinge, mind you, it's like these 2 niggas pop up. Like, out of all the people, but and like, how the hell these niggas even find me? Because my ex was supposed to be in Houston. Anyways, so I need to wash my face, y'all. I mean, I don't even have no makeup on except for like my eyes. But yeah, I say all that to say, just be really protective of your light, be protective of your spirit, be protective of your energy, and just don't repeat things that you've learned that you should be moved on from. And I'm saying that also as a message to myself, because you know, I had entertained the conversation a little bit just because it was like retribution, you know what I mean? Like, hi, bitch, I'm over you. Okay, and I know you didn't think we would be here, because it was like, woo, because I got with my ex, well, we first started talking in 2022, and I had finally cut ties with him, like literally the end of 2024, so it was about 2 to 3 years, like on and off, of just keep coming back to each other. And you know, it's a sign of insanity to do the same thing over and over and over again and expect the same results. So yeah, I'm just really proud of myself. Like, I had just said what I needed to say. I unmatched with him. I blocked him because he popped up on my Instagram too. I was like, damn, this nigga won't go away. It's like a bat out of hell, bro. But I blocked him on Instagram. He's been blocked on my phone number because he wanted me to unblock him on my phone. I was like, no, you're never getting unblocked. And he's like, a lot has changed, or whatever the case may be. And I was like, no, it hasn't. I was like, you love to pretend like you weren't awful to me in every sense of the word. And he was like, yeah, but anyways, he was just like, unblocked. I was like, no, that's your character. That's who you are. You can't change your character. So, but yeah, I blocked him. Okay. The other one, like, my other ex, like, wasn't even like relevant enough. Like, that was an immediate just swipe, swipe, bitch. Like, you won't hear from me. But you know, I call him Harvard because he was obsessed with the fact that he went to Harvard Law. Like, I'm like, okay, Harvard. Anyways, but with him, like, yeah. So again, mostly a message for myself. But if anybody is in the space that I'm in, and you know, they're in a new space where God has truly given me like just a new beginning. You know what I mean? I'm in a new apartment, a new space. I have my promotion. I finally feel like, before I just felt like I was trying to play catch up and I was in a race, and finally I feel like I'm where I need to be in every sense of the word. And now I have patience, I have peace, I have happiness. And if you have those 3 things, plus a hybrid work schedule, you know, you have the world in your hands. And God has really given me the world in my hands. He's given me just a new, fresh start, with wisdom. What a beautiful thing to have wisdom and to learn and to understand and to be able to grow, and see things the way that God sees it. Because God operates from a place of love and light. And just the men and the people that I dealt with, you know, if you start naming off the things that, like, their character traits and the things that they do, it is of the devil. And I hate to say, like, you know, oh, you're like the devil, but the opposite of love and light is darkness, and it is the devil, because God is love. And so some people operate in that space because they lack love. And, you know, why invite darkness into your life when God has set it up for you to have love and light? You know, like, why restart a cycle? Why keep doing the same chapter over and over again? And so, anyways, so I just had to come on here and yap about that. And that, again, like, sometimes, you know, just be cognizant of what you're praying for, because, you know, you may be praying for strength, and again, you'll be sent situations that, like, you feel like are breaking you down, and it's so that you can have that strength. And in my case, you know, I wanted real confidence, and I wanted real love for myself, and you know, and I was in a very isolated season of being unnoticed, overlooked, ignored, and not paid attention to. And to now, where it's like I go anywhere, I'm like, man, these people are on my body. Like, it's crazy. And it's because I was able to finally find that love and happiness and validation within myself, and confidence within myself, without looking for other people to affirm that within me. So yeah, I say all that to say that, so just trust the season that you're in, trust what God's doing. He's always going to bring it right around. And he's a loving, he's a faithful, he is a gracious God. Even when you think that he's not listening to you, you think he's not there, he's always there. He's always listening. He's always a loving, faithful God. I think more than anything, I have really, learned, like, God, you know, I know God is a faithful God and stuff, but I think this is just a year that I really understood what faithfulness is, and how faithful he really is to his children. And his love is just like, it's just no other. So, you know, just stay close to God, talk to him every day. I promise, like, he's just everything and more, and he just really loves you. So yeah, hopefully you guys like this message. Again, I'm trying to get back in my YouTube bag, y'all. You know, I got like 43 views on my last video. I was like, I'm popular. I'm popping. Okay, I'm a celebrity. But yeah, I am trying to get back on my YouTube. You know, create some mementos and something to look back on. But yeah, and just to gap again, sometimes it's really good to, like, document life, and it just be nice to come back and look at these videos and stuff. So yeah, just thought I'd come on here and say that. So that's it. And pray these cysts go away, okay? I was like, woo, that shit is awful. And it's like a cluster too. Now, granted, I did have them brownies. I did, because, like, every time, I used to not have a sweet tooth. I used to be a really big salty person, but as I've gotten older, like, and I used to hate cheesecake. Now I love cheesecake. Like, I get a sweet tooth for brownies, cookies, and cheesecake. And whenever I have a little sweet, I break out literally on my chin. Usually it is on the left side, but I couldn't do it. You know, them period cravings come. Whew. So yeah. But yeah, hopefully these things go away. But oh well, if they don't, whatever. Somebody will love them. Somebody will kiss them. I don't know who, but somebody will. Okay. And if not, God loves me, and that's all that matters. All right, guys. Yeah, but comment, subscribe, don't comment, ignore it, don't watch, I don't care. You know, it's mostly for me, but it is for y'all too. I do have people who do watch my long videos. I don't know why, but I appreciate it. So yeah, bye guys.